Let's talk about your former team, shall we, Jurgen? Of course, registering a 2-0 victory earlier on today. Correa with both of the goals. Deserved winners?
Absolutely deserved winners. As always, when they win, they definitely deserved it. No, I mean, they controlled the entire game. I mean, you see it there on the possession. They had to be patient. They had to be patient in this game. It took until the second half, and Correa's two beautiful goals. And that keeps them at least, a little bit close to the top two. Even if you look at the table, it's already 7 points. So Napoli and AC Milan, it looks like they're running away at the moment. But it was an important 3 points for Inter.
Yeah, 7 points the difference, Don. Is it just a two-horse race, or Inter in it still, in your opinion?
No, I would say Inter are still in it. I think, only 10 games in, Inter are still a fantastic side. They can go through the gears where they can win 3 or 4 games on the spin. I mean, Napoli and Milan for sure are setting the pace. But it's a long season, it's a long slog. I wouldn't write anyone off. I would write Juve off for sure, but I wouldn't write Inter off. I mean, Juve are 16 behind. That's just an incredible story in itself. But in terms of trying to write Inter off, I wouldn't do that now.
And you certainly aren't writing Napoli off. Phenomenal start to the season. They were made to work for that victory today, Don, but Zielinski's goal proving to be the difference between the two sides.
It's what they do, Dan. I mean, the game wasn't a spectacular game, but when you look at that back line four, Napoli with the likes of Koulibaly, who got sent off, they don't concede any goals. If they're at home, they only conceded 1 goal, only 3 in total. So they've got a great base to build on where they go away from home, they can keep a clean sheet. They know they've got quality at the top end of the pitch. It was one of them games where if you're a Napoli fan, you won't remember it, but all you'll take from it, which is a vital 3 points, and you'll move on to the games that are coming up in the next few weeks.
Who's your money on, Jurgen? Milan or Napoli? Don't say Inter.
I have to say Inter. But no, it is impressive because in both teams, AC Milan and Napoli, you see two sides that kind of over the last 2-3 years really grew. They're not making too many changes now, season by season. The presence, obviously, of Zlatan is impressive, is really fun to watch. But there's a Napoli team that is extremely hungry. They're maturing. I mean, with Osimhen up front, they have a real threat this year. He was not so mature yet last season, but now he's really kind of growing in this role. He was not there today, but coming back from injury soon again. It's a team that knows how to play. They know each other's roles, and they're proving that now week in, week out. So it's going to be a fun title race.
Who are you having, Don, out of these two?
I mean, I like Napoli, but at the same time, I think if they lose Victor Osimhen, who's an incredible player for them, I just worry, who's going to play in that number 9 position. Dries Mertens played it today, and he done okay. He's still a good player. He's lacking a little bit of fitness because he's not had too much game time. But he's the one, if they lose him, Napoli, I would lean towards Milan. I think they've got a little bit too much at the top end of their pitch.
Well, you mentioned it, didn't you? Juventus had a miserable start to the season. Max Allegri's return certainly hasn't borne the fruit that many were expecting. Another defeat on Saturday, this time against Hellas Verona. Giovanni Simeone, the star of the show, bagging a bracer. McKennie would get a late goal, but in the end, Juventus once again on the losing end of things. And you take a look at the newspapers, and they are not holding back whatsoever. Max Allegri very much at the heart of the criticism. A Disastro Max with Gazzetta Tutto Sport saying Juve Voganati, which I think is embarrassing Juve. I have no idea what that means. Crisis, there you go. Quite embarrassing, Shaq.
It is. Given Juventus, where we were talking about the return of Max Allegri and so much was expected of him. Listen, this is the makings of a team that dominated Italian football for so long. To see them fall this far, You thought last season was a one-off, but it's proven to be so much different. And this is not just about how good AC Milan and Napoli are. Juventus really are a team struggling for identity, struggling to put results together.
It's tough, Jurgen, this coaching malarkey. Obviously, Pirlo last season, they were given this kind of the young, exciting club legend the opportunity to shine. They've gone back to Allegri thinking he could come back and steady the ship, but he's done anything but that.
Yeah, and it is really, what the title says, the crisis al buio means, crisis in the dark. It's it's really dark right now in Torino for them because they're not used to being in a situation like that. I mean, Juventus historically was never a team that was kind of proactive and high pressure game and like Liverpool going 200 miles an hour. Juventus was always a team throughout the decades reacting a bit to what happened and then have outstanding forwards like Alessandro Del Piero at his time or other ones that made then the difference, or Zlatan even, you know, I mean, not Zlatan, but players that, Ronaldo, I mean, not Zlatan. So now they lost Ronaldo. So now they're looking for a new leader. You know, who's now leading that pack? In my opinion, I thought the new leader in this Juve team, I mean, there's on one side Dybala, when he's on the field, if he's not injured, he's a difference maker. But then you have Chiesa coming off an amazing European championship that you should give him actually that role of responsibility, which Allegri hasn't done. So Allegri went back basically to the old traditional historical way of Juventus, playing counter-attack football, just sitting back and waiting what the other teams is doing. But now a lot of teams figure that one out over the decades and know how to play now Juventus if they do that. So this transition into a more proactive, more possession-based football, that's what they wanted to do under Andrea Pirlo, but they didn't give Andrea Pirlo the time to do it because one bad year for Juventus means sack the coach, start all over again. But going backwards the way they did it now proves really, really wrong, and they're in trouble.
Yeah, Don, they are in a lot of trouble, clearly. 16 points adrift at the top of the table. What's Allegri doing wrong?
It's the style, and I think he's stubborn. I think when you look at the Juventus side, I think traditionally over the years they've played 4-3-3, and he's persistent with his 4-4-2, and he's playing Rabiot on the left wing, and Rabiot's never ever been a left winger. If you want to put a little bit of balance and you want to play 4-4-2, you could put Alexandro up there, and he offers a little bit more balance. Locatelli's best when he plays in a 3 because he likes to break forward and score goals. They've got an aging backline in Bonucci and Chiellini. De Ligt was on the bench in this game, which I just think at some point at his age and the player that he is, you just give him his head and say, right, you're going to play every game and try and get a little bit of rhythm. It's like he's chopping and changing, Max Allegri, trying to find this formation. Maybe he's trying to rest one or two and he's trying to manage the team. But take all that apart. When you watch Juve, they're just a stale side to watch. It's almost like when you watch them, they react and they're waiting to go one behind before they show a little bit of urgency and a little bit of character. In general, when you watch them, they're just a slow side and they're not a good side to watch.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.